Exercise 7A, reordering of sentences and sentence completion. In this section, we are going to review some of the exercises that you completed on these two topics, namely reordering of sentences and sentence completion. At the end of this session, you will be able to solve questions correctly and effortlessly on reordering of sentences and sentence completion. Now, this is the question given to us. Remember, this question is different from the ones that we discussed in lesson 7A. Now, there we were given 6 sentences, all numbered A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and the instruction was to order them correctly in sequence and then answer those questions. There were 6 sentences and 5 questions given there. This is also another question on rearranging sentences, but it is of a different type. You are given 6 sentences in this question. The first sentence and the last sentence are numbered 1 and 6, which are already in order. You don't have to arrange the first and the last sentences in this question. In other words, first question is the first question of the sequence. Last sentence is the last sentence of the sequence. In between, you are given 4 sentences which are named P, Q, R, S, which alone you have to reorganize. This is a sort of guided exercise. Now, the sentence 1 says, a man in a wheelchair set off a small explosion causing a loud bang in Terminal 3 of the Beijing airport at 6:45 p.m. on Saturday. Now, the last sentence says, an online microblog attributed to the man says, the explosion was to protest his ill treatment by the Chinese police. So, the first and the last sentences, you don't have to do anything about them. Now, in between, we have 4 sentences. Sentence P says, order was quickly restored and no flights were affected by the explosion at the airport's main international terminal, state-run China Central Television said on its microblog. Now, next sentence Q, remember this P may not be the first sentence, but this is the jumbled order in which these 4 sentences are provided to us. The man named by state media as Ji Zhongxing, 34, from central Shandong province was injured and taken to hospital. The third sentence, the official Xinhua news agency said the man was earlier stopped from handing out leaflets airing his complaints before setting off the bomb. And the fourth given sentence, that is yes, is no one else was injured in the blast which filled the part of the Terminal 3 arrival halls with smoke. Now, there is only one question here. Earlier, you had 5 questions. If you answer all those things correctly, after arranging them in sequence, you would be getting 5 marks. But in questions like this, same amount of work you may have to do, but you will get only 1 mark because there is only 1 question. Now, the first sentence, P, order was quickly restored. The second one, the man named by state media as Zhongxing. Now, the first sentence you should read again so that it leads on to the second sentence. A man in a wheelchair set off a small explosion. A man, the first sentence talks about a man. Therefore, you can think of sentence Q, the man, that is a man, here the man. We are using the definite article because the man here refers to a man mentioned in the first sentence. So obviously Q should be the first sentence of the sequence. Among PQRS, Q is likely to be the first sentence of the sequence. As informed earlier, whenever you identify, it's always better to identify the first sentence of the sequence first. Once you identify, write number 1 there at the end of that sentence. So Q is the first sentence of the sequence. Now coming to the other sentences, the official Xinhua news agency said the man was earlier stopped. Now look at sentence yes. No one else was injured in the blast, which filled part of the terminal. Now, if you want to see the sentence yes, see how the man named state media Xin Zhongxing from central Shandong province was injured and taken to. It talks about the injury of the person who set off the explosion. Therefore, you can think of yes. It talks about his injury, therefore you can relate as no one else was injured in the blast. This is the sequence, this is the connector. Therefore, the second sentence of the sequence should be yes, which says no one else was injured in the blast, which filled the part of the terminal of the arrival halls with smoke. Now coming to the third one. He set off the bomb and then he was injured. The next sentence says no one else was injured. Then what happened after the explosion? So obviously sentence B, order was quickly restored and no flights were affected by the explosion at the airport's main international terminal, Saitran, China's Central Television said on its microblog. So P should be the third. Q, yes, P, third sentence in the sequence is P. And that leaves us with only R as the fourth sentence. The official Xinhua news agency said the man was earlier stopped from handing out leaflets airing his complaints before setting off the bomb. The man had some grievance. He wanted to distribute some bills, some notices, some handouts, which he was not allowed. So in retaliation to that, maybe he set off the bomb. Therefore, the correct sequence should be Q, S, P, R. That is option A, B, C. C says Q, S, P, R. This is the correct sequence. Now, in this type of question, you have to do the same amount of work with some guidance, because you are given the first sentence and the last sentence to limit your thoughts, and then you can do it easily. In the examination, any type of question that is out of these two, anything can be given. Either you will be given 6 sentences and you will be asked to sequence all the 6 and answer 5 questions based on your sequence, or you may be given the first sentence and the last sentence and in between 4, and then you may be asked to put them in the proper sequence. You will answer only one question. You must be prepared for both these questions when you take up reordering of sentences.